Hello students, I am Kinjal Parmar. Welcome back to the video lecture series of microprocessor and microcontroller. Today we will discuss AVR, interrupts and programming. So let's start. A single microcontroller can serve a several devices. There are two methods by which device receive a service from the microcontroller, through interrupts or through polling. Now what is interrupt? So this microcontroller have a interrupt method. In the interrupt method, whenever any device needs microcontroller service, the device notify it by sending an interrupt signal, and upon receiving an interrupt signal, the microcontroller stops whatever it doing and serve the device. Now the program associated with the interrupt is called interrupt service routine or interrupt handler. Now this interrupt service routine program can serve up to the when interrupt is executed or when this controller are interrupted. In a polling method, the microcontroller continuously monitor the status of a given device. When the status condition is met, it performs the service. So after that, it moves on the monitor and the next device until each one is serviced. Although polling can monitor the status of several devices and serve each of them as a certain conditions are met, it is not an efficient method to use for a microcontroller. As in this interrupt method, the advantage of the interrupt is that the microcontroller can serve many devices. Each device can get the attention of the microcontroller based on the priority assigned to it. The polling method cannot assign the priority because it checks all the device in a round robin fashion, so it wastes the time. So in a interrupt method, there is a no waste of time. More importantly, in the interrupt method, microcontroller can also ignore a device request for a service. So it can ignore the device service. This is also not possible in a polling method. And most important reason that the interrupt method is preferable is that the polling method wastes much of the microcontroller's time by polling devices that do not service. So AVR interrupt method is most widely used, and then in a interrupt there is an interrupt service routine. For any interrupt or for every interrupt, there must be an interrupt service routine or interrupt handler. When an interrupt is invoked, the microcontroller runs the ISR. Generally, for every interrupt, there is a fixed location in a memory that holds the address of its ISR. For every interrupt, there is a fixed location in a memory which holds the address of interrupt service routine. The group of the memory locations set aside to hold the address of an interrupt service routine is called interrupt vector table. Here we have a interrupt vector table. At that interrupt vector table, for each and every interrupt, there is a fixed ROM locations in a memory. For reset interrupt, there is a 000. For external interrupt request 0, there is a 002. For 1, 004. For 2, there is a 006, and so on. This is a interrupt vector table. Each and every interrupt has a fixed locations, has a fixed address in a memory. This interrupt has a priorities also. So if two interrupts are activated at the same time, the interrupt will higher priority served first. The priority of each interrupt is related to the address of the interrupt in a interrupt vector table. So interrupt that has a lower address has the highest priority. Interrupt with the lower address has the highest priority. So in a interrupt priorities, for example, address of external interrupt 0 is 2, while the address of the external interrupt 2 is 6. Thus external interrupt 0 has the highest priority, and if both of these interrupts are activated at the same time, then external interrupt 0 is served first. So depending on the address this priorities is set. Now how we can execute an interrupt? So these are the steps in executing an interrupt. So first, it finished the instructions it is currently executing and save the address of the next instruction. That means values of program counter on a stack. Now it jumps to a fixed location in a memory called interrupt vector table, and the interrupt vector table directs the microcontroller to the address of interrupt service routine. So in an interrupt vector table, there is a address of each and every interrupt. So at that locations program counter goes and the microcontroller start execute the interrupt service subroutine until it reaches the last instructions of subroutine, which is RETI, that means return from interrupt. So each and every interrupt service routine has last instructions RETI, that means return from interrupt. Upon executions of RTI instructions, the microcontroller returns to the place where it was interrupted. First, it gets the content of the program counter from the stack by popping the top of the byte of a stack into program counter. Then it starts to execute from that address. So this is how interrupts can be executed. Now what are the source of interrupts in AVR? So there are at least 2 interrupts set aside for each of the timers, one for overflow and another for compare match. 3 interrupts are set aside for external hardware interrupts, that is for pins PD2, PD3 and PB2 these are the external hardware interrupts of INT0, INT1 and INT2 in 8MEGA32, right? Then next interrupts are serial communications USART, which has 3 interrupts, one for receive and 2 for transmit. Then SPI interrupts, then ADC interrupts. So all are the interrupts. Now how we can enable and disable the interrupts? So upon reset, all the interrupts are disabled, that none will be responded to by the program or says by the microcontroller if they are activated. So initially all interrupts are disabled. When we want to enable them, then we have to make them 1. So the interrupt must be enabled by a software in order for the microcontroller to respond them. Now how we can enable them? So in a D7 bit of a status register, there is a I bits. Okay, so D7 bit of a status register is responsible for enabling or disabling the interrupts globally. The I bit in the shift register makes the job of disabling or enabling of all the interrupts easily. So here we have a steps of enabling the interrupts. So bit D7, that means I of shift register must be set to high to allow the interrupts to happen. This is done with the SEI instruction, set interrupts. And if I is equals to 1, each interrupt is enabled by setting the high interrupt enable, that is IE flag bits of a interrupt. There are some IO register holding a interrupt enable bit referred to as a TIMSK register. TIMSK register has interrupt enable bits for timer 0, timer 1 and for timer 2. So here we have a TIMSK register in which all the bits are written over here: OCIE2, TOIE2, TICI1, OCIE1A, 1B, IE1, OCIE0 and TOIE0 for timer 2, timer 1, timer 0. TOIE0, that means timer 0 overflow interrupt flag. So when 0, disable the timer 0 overflow interrupt 1, which enables the timer 0 overflow interrupt. Then OCIE timer 0 output compare match interrupt enable. So 0 0, so it disable the compare match interrupt, and 1, then it enable the compare match interrupt. Then next for timer 1, TOI 1, then OCI E1B for overflow and for compare match for B timer. Okay, then next here we have a OCI E1 timer 1 output compare match for A. Okay, so 0, then disable, 1, then enable, then TICIE timer 1 input capture interrupt enable. So when 0, then disable, 1, then enable. Then we have a next bit for TOIE2 and for OCIE2 for timer 2. Timer 2 overflow interrupt enable, timer 2 compare match interrupt enable. When 0, so interrupt is disable, when 1, then interrupt is enable. So these all are the interrupts related to timer circuits. So let's discuss about AVR interrupt programming. So in a AVR interrupt programming, this bits along with the I bit must be set high for an interrupt to be responded to. Upon the activation of the interrupt, the I bit is cleared by the AVR itself to make sure that another interrupt cannot interrupt the microcontroller while it is serving the current one. At the end of the ISR, there is a RETI instructions. These instructions will make I is equals to 1 to allow another interrupt to come in. Now next is interrupt programming in assembly. So here we have a interrupt programming in assembly. Using timer 0, write a program that toggle a pin port B.5 at every 40 seconds. Now while at the same time transfer the data from port C to D. Now we know that at a timer programming we have to wait until in a normal mode TOV flag or in a CTC mode OCF flag is set. Okay, until this TOV flag is not set, we have to wait over there. So during this wait durations, we can do some another task by means of interrupts. Okay, so here we have a one program that at that time durations we have to transfer the data of port C from port D. Now here we have a clock frequency is 1 megahertz. So first write a programming for a timer and at the same time perform interrupt operations. So here include M32DF INC, then ORG00, then jump at the main locations, and ORG014 JMP. So this is locations of ISR because here we want to use timer 0 interrupt flag. Okay, so here we have a one main program that instruction LDI R20 high, then goes the values of this value at a program counter on a stack pointer. So stack pointer this SPH and SPL. So set up stacks. Okay, so here set up stacks. Now generate this port B5 as a output. Okay, make port B5 as a output, and here check the OCIO. Okay, this will enable the interrupt. Okay, this will enable the OCIO interrupt. So whenever we want to check this, we have to make this register in a TIMSK register, because in a TIMSK register there is a timer 0 compare match interrupt. So to enable the timer 0 compare match interrupt, here TIMSK is called. Now this TIMS, after this we have to set the interrupt enable. So it makes SEI instructions, set interrupt enable globally. Now for this load the values. Now to first we have to calculate 40 millisecond delay. Okay, so for 40 millisecond delay, here we have a calculation is given 40 millisecond divided by 1 millisecond, so 40. So for OC0 we calculate 40 minus 1, 39. Okay, so here we use CTC mode. Okay, so here we just load the values 39. So 39 is loaded with OCR0. Now it calculate the values starting from 0, 1, 2, and whenever 39 is done in a TCNT 0 register, so we can stop over here. Okay, and at that durations when 0, 1, 2, 3 all values are calculated, we can perform another operations. Okay, so here this R20 is equals to 0, 0, then out DDRC is equals to 0, 0. It makes port C input and it makes port D output. Here in instructions pin C, read the values from port C and then copy that values at a port D. Okay, so this is our ISR. So read the values from port C and then copy the value at port D. Okay, now this is ISR for timer 0 execution. So for that, in instructions port B are 16, then values are toggling over here. So here to toggle the value, here we just load the values. So here at the end of the ISR there is a RTI instructions written from interrupt. So this all are performs, then while it calculate the value, it jump over here whenever TIMSK is set, then interrupt enable compare match is generated, and until when that the compare matches doesn't occur, it will perform the interrupt service routine continuously, and whenever this occur, then it will goes to the original program. So this is how interrupt can be used. Now same things we can do in a C programming. So here we have a interrupt programming in a C using timer 0, generate a square wave on a pin port B.5 while at the same time transfer a data from port C to port D. So here we first write for a making a port B.5 as the output. Now values over here is a -32. Here we just randomly calculate the values for 4 second. We can do for another values also. TCNT 0 is equals to -32, TCCR 0 is equals to 01, normal mode, internal clock, no prescaler. Now read the values of TIMSK register in which enable this timer 0 overflow flag interrupt, and here SEI instruction for setting interrupt enable. Okay, now when this interrupt flag is set, so at that time duration execute DDRC is equals to 00, DDRD is equals to FF, make port C input, port D output, and at that time copy the data. So port D is equals to pin C and wait over here. Okay, and now here we have a interrupt service routine. So for that ISR port B overflow, and at that time duration TCNT is equals to -32 and complements the values of port B.5. So this is how we can generate a square wave on a port B.5, and at the same durations we can transfer the data from port C to port D. Thank you.